All right, let's begin. Hello, REMAX professionals. You are the best in the business, and I'm excited to be here with you today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to attend camp with us. The last camp session, week 8, is here. I'm your camp counselor, Nate, and I'm ready to share a few ideas with you about networking. Before we do that, let's review just a little bit. Whew, it has been a quick 8 weeks, I think. Camp has just flown by. So we started with business planning with camp counselor Amanda Ward. And I'm curious, have you put her presentation into live action? Have you put it in? So have you done any business planning? I sure hope that you have. After business planning session, we went for a little fishing expedition for leads with our camp counselor, Michelle Hoyt. And I'm curious, have you put anything that Michelle talked about with leads into action? Would love to see you start to put some of the things that you're learning in camp into action. And of course, we can't get all this stuff done without having been through a little time management session with camp counselor Amanda. So I'm curious, do you remember her message about the golf balls, the pebbles, and the sand, and the beer? If you don't, please check out our Facebook page and review it. So, and our Facebook page is facebook.com/camp Remax. So check that out. That message, I think, about the golf balls, pebbles, and sand and beer was really interesting to hear. And of course, Amanda's overall session was very good too. After we were done talking about time management, we went into relationship building with camp counselor Andrea. Her suggestion of giving something to someone that they can't Google, I believe, is absolutely spot on. And I think that's really good. Giving people advice and giving things that they can't Google, that's how we become experts in our market. That's how we become a resource. After that, we gazed at the stars and talked about techs and apps. So sometimes getting tech to work is like getting the stars to align, right? But when they do, it's an absolutely beautiful sight. And Counselor Michelle was like a North Star guiding us through the Google Suite, among other techs and apps. But she really focused on the Google Suite, and what a really great time. After we spent some time stargazing, was a little bit of time to get busy and talk about negotiation or tug of war with me, your camp counselor, Nate Ryan. So we talked about how negotiation skills can pay the bills. Personally, one of my favorite slides there was the Pawn Star method and calling in experts when sometimes things get sticky in a negotiation. Remember, we don't have to be experts. We have HVAC experts. We have flooring experts. We have people in the trades who build houses. Those are our experts that we can go to. And Rick from Pawn Star always calls in an expert when he needs help through a negotiation or defining value. So that's something that we can hopefully put to work for you in the negotiation stage. And last week, a great counselor, Amanda, reminded us how important it is to maintain our database. Now, which brings us to networking and the last week of camp overall. So we're definitely excited about the last week, and we hope that you are too. So let's get started. So we have all heard the phrase ABC, right? It comes from a movie, but always be closing. And that's kind of how we think as real estate people sometimes. So I am a closer. I get people to sign on the dotted line, to press hard, you're going through 3 copies, or to, now it's not press hard to go through 3 copies. Now it's grab the stylus and sign on your iPad. But I think versus ABC, personally, I think we should ABN, and that's always be networking. Networking should always be fun and truly meant to be an activity to build lasting relationships. And when I say the word networking, oftentimes what comes to your mind is a ballroom or maybe a hotel room or a hotel ballroom filled with people holding drinks, smiling and laughing with name tags and surrounding cocktail tables. So and we think of that as definitely a very formal networking event, which is a correct way to think about networking, I think. But what about thinking about networking differently when you're running around town and you're running errands? Is that networking? Or maybe the night of golf league or at the book club or maybe a social event like Lions or Rotary? Can we network in those different places? The absolutely thing is, the truth is we're networking all of the time. Every single time that we meet people, we're networking. We're networking to find mostly about how we can help them, knowing that if we can help them, they're going to help us. Not only in the real estate business, but potentially with just general life as well. So let's talk about a few different tips, what I consider social networking. And by the way, I'm not talking about Facebook, okay? I'm talking about a social networking around your social sphere in your town, in your city, in your state. That's social networking, not online, and it happens to be done face to face. You actually get to feel like you're talking to a human being. So it's kind of fun. So let's talk about a few different things where we can social network around town. And of course, we'll have some formal networking tips for you as well. But social networking around town, right? Something that you can always do is wear your name tag. I know we have been told this 1,000 times over and over again, and now I'm telling you 1,001 times. By the way, if you notice the balloon in the lower left-hand corner, that's a new balloon, which means it's time for a refresh on your name tag as well. And I think that people will notice that the balloon's changed and potentially maybe want to have some conversations with you. The reason that really we wear our name tag or something with our Remax logo on it is it's a conversation starter. When somebody sees that balloon and they see the word Remax, they instantaneously know what you do. They understand who you are. So they'll come up to you and they might say, "So how's the market?" And this, because our name tag started that conversation, this is what I mean by have some stats ready. Rather than saying good or amazing or it's wonderful, if you can be, and this is part of networking as well, if you can have some stats ready, instead of saying, they say, "How's the market?" And you say, "It's great for sellers of homes for under $300,000 with a 3-car garage." Do you know of anyone thinking about selling a home like that? It's a totally different conversation. "Oh, how's the market?" Good. So be prepared to network in a social environment every single day and also have some stats ready. I think that's a very, very good thing that you can have. Also, don't forget, and I'm going to say this again and again throughout this presentation, but don't forget to ask them how you can help them, because that's a networking. Networking is definitely a two-way street and connecting dots and building relationship. So don't forget to ask about them and truly take an interest in that other person as well. But by having your name tag ready and having some stats ready, you'll be able to have a great conversation. Also, teach people that it's okay to give you referrals, right? Sometimes people are like, "I don't know if I should say anything. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not sure what's going to happen after I give them the name." So just remember that you're taking someone that they know and they are putting faith in you that you're going to do a good job overall. So teach people that it's okay to give you referrals. Also teach them what you're going to do once you get a referral. You're going to follow up with them right away. You're going to be there for them. You're going to take their interest at heart. And being able to explain that. So I know it sounds kind of weird, but right in the middle of a grocery store sometimes, being able to explain that and having that comfort level will make those referrals come back and again and again and again. And that is how we can get somebody in our inner circle. I'll kind of define that in a little bit, but how we can get somebody in our inner circle and keep those referrals coming again and again and again. By the way, the grocery store aisle or potentially the car shop or wherever you happen to meet someone and have that conversation about real estate, that is not the place or time for a hard sell. So that's a place and time for us to understand who they are, not a place and time for them to say, "Well, how is your friend? What kind of money do they have? Or what kind of down payment do they have? Do you know who their lender is?" Right? It is definitely meant to be a very upbeat time for us, positive, and ask questions about them. And again, remember, don't forget, how can we help them is always kind of our main motivation when we're around networking. The more people that we can help, the more people that will want to help us in all of our endeavors, not just business endeavors as well. So continuing on with a couple other social networking things around town is definitely get involved in your community. So remember that getting involved does mean that you're giving up time from your business and your family as well. So don't do it to earn money. Do it to get involved and you truly enjoy it. Obviously, when you're involved in your community, those are excellent spots for you to be networking as well. I'll give you a personal story. So personally, I was involved with our local Pheasants Forever chapter. Something that I truly enjoy. I love walking around. I love walking fields. I enjoy pheasants. So overall, and the biggest thing is I was around a whole bunch of people that enjoyed the exact same things that I did. Not ever once did I talk about real estate. I wore, obviously clothing that people knew that I was in real estate, but I never ever once talked about it. Out of the group of people who were on that executive council with me, I sold three of them houses. So three out of the eight. I definitely sold some properties to them. We sold some land. One time I turned around and got two deals. But the biggest thing there is that I wasn't there to be a real estate agent. I was there to be a part of Pheasants Forever because it's something I truly enjoyed. And I'm going to challenge you to find something like that in your community as well that you truly enjoy and be a part of it. Potentially, and I'm not advocating for this because we all know how much time it takes, but you may have to lead that community involvement step too. But keep in mind that our actions speak louder than our words, and being involved in your community will open up the doors to a lot of networking that you can do and different people who you can meet overall. So the next portion of that is to have a very nice follow-up plan as well. So if you meet somebody in the community and you're out there, what type of plan do you have to follow up with them? Remember, Counselor Andrea gave us some great tips about building your database last week. So now is the time to put some of those tips to work for you. By the way, in your follow-up plan, NAR, so National Association of Realtors, suggests to categorize your people you meet into 4 groups, your sphere, and they deserve a follow-up call once a year. Your acquaintances, and they deserve a follow-up call and a follow-up call, once a year, and a plan to market to them to keep them top of mind about once a quarter. So you're going to market to them and keep them top of mind, and you're physically going to call them once a year. And then we also have another relationship there called your inner circle. In your inner circle, you're definitely going to talk to monthly, and they are actively referring people to you. Now, I know that we as salespeople, we kind of think systematically sometimes. Well, this person would be great to get in my inner circle because they know a lot of people with expensive houses or this or that. All I'm suggesting here is not that we're judging or grading people based on that or who we want or how we're going to get business. Get people in your inner sphere who you like and who you trust and who you want to do business with. So keep in mind that people will also continually move from group to group. And that's just how it works. It's just kind of how it's going to be. And never ever forget to ask, how can you help them? By the way, that should be your main goal of networking overall, is to help other people. And that will in turn definitely pay off for you. And I know it's tough to be nice sometimes. I definitely understand that. And I'm not saying that we need to help people financially or we need to help them, through the latest breakup or the things that they have. But how, in a certain way, how can we help them? And sometimes, sometimes it's just kind of being there for them, maybe just having a cup of coffee and listening. And I promise you that the end result may not be business, but the end result of truly helping someone else will make you feel a lot better as a human being. So keep moving on. From a social networking side of things to an actually networking event. So I kind of gave you 6 ideas socially around town. How do we meet people? How can we get more networking opportunities? So let's talk about a formal networking event. Remember that image that we had at the beginning of this call of people talking and standing up over a cocktail table? Well, there it is. So when you do attend formal networking events, and there are plenty, by the way, also paid, when you go and you pay to network, it's a little bit better potentially because everyone is there to network than a non-paid event. So just FYI. But when you go to these things, go with a mission. What is your mission when you go with them? Is your mission how many business cards you can hand out? Well, Bob Berg, the author of Endless Referrals, says that focusing on 6 to 8 people that you want to meet is plenty. And then, of course, follow up with them. In our business, who should we try and meet if we're at a networking event? In real estate, who are some of the people who should we definitely try and meet? I think presidents of banks, attorneys, especially divorce attorneys, funeral home directors, pediatricians. The list can go on and on of people who we should meet. But I think that those are some people in our community, so we should know very well. People buy real estate when life events happen. Someone dies, someone gets married, someone gives birth. And there are people involved in each of those steps, steps throughout our lives. And if we can network with those folks, they can obviously help us out and being able to refer us. By the way, when somebody refers us, that is the highest compliment that we could ever receive, right? So being able to at least know people. When you refer people, though, you have to be able to refer back to those folks as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's definitely a two-way street. But never go into this again, as I mentioned a number of times before. So I meet the president of the bank and he can help me get some great loans and what he can do for me. Ask the president of the bank what you can do for him. And I think that the answer that he or she may give you will surprise you overall as well. So, and sometimes it's great once that referral business happens, but just keep in mind that it can go up or down and you may not be able to get all of the referrals from them. And then you're starting to decide, how can we get these people in our inner circle as well? So how do you keep the conversation going? Well, by asking lots of questions. So that's how we need to keep conversations going when we're at networking events. So I'll give you a few examples. How long have you been in the business? What do you enjoy most about what you do? How do you differ from someone else who's in the same business around town? What do you do in your free time? Notice that all of those questions are focusing on them and what their interests are, not, hey, let me tell you about the real estate business. They will remember you because you aren't shoving your service in their face. And when they do ask about you, please keep it short and offer stats and return the conversation back to them as soon as you possibly can. A couple other tips for formal networking events is talk to the wall huggers. I found this tip and I thought about it. So I've been to a number of paid networking events, and I thought about this for a second. I thought it was always very interesting. But go and talk to the wall huggers. And the wall huggers are often people who set up the event, or they just don't feel comfortable and they don't want to. They just might feel a little uncomfortable going and talking to them. Individually. I think offers a lot for you as an individual and also offers a lot for them. So watch out for those wall huggers. And I shouldn't say watch out for them. Engage with those wall huggers, I think is the proper what I wanted to say. So, and I know it can definitely be very difficult to walk up to a stranger and introduce yourself. But remember, that is why you are at that event. And also that's why they're there. So don't worry about going up to someone, sticking out your hand and giving them a great smile and saying hello. So it's kind of interesting. I read this, but going with the intent to buy something, I thought that was a really great tip, and I included the link where I got that tip from here in a later slide. But I think that it's a very good tip. And the reason that you would go to a networking event with the intent to purchase something from someone else is because you will listen extremely closely to what everyone has to say if you are thinking about, maybe I should buy that product. And you will make it so much more about them than you will about yourself. And that's truly a great guide to networking as well. The other thing, too, is you can also maybe help them uncover ways that you can help their business and potentially that they can help yours as well. So that's why I suggest to go with the intent to buy something at some of these formal networking events. I've sat down personally with people who sell insurance. They're oftentimes at these networking events, life insurance, mutual funds, blah, blah, blah. And I have gone and met with a couple of those folks, but it's always been very, very interesting to meet and to hear about how they get business. It's one question that I asked them was like, how do you find people, right? Because that's what we do in real estate. Like, how do you find people to do business with? And I've picked up a number of tips and tricks from people who I've met at networking events like that. So we've got just a couple more networking event tips. Stop hanging around people that you know, right? That's safe. That's okay. It makes us feel good. Go out and remember that you're there to network. And yes, sometimes the buddy system works pretty well, but most of the time I'm suggesting that you should network alone. Being alone allows you to control your conversation. You are in control of what questions you ask, and it just really helps you kind of focus on the other person as well. So, and I think that, and I don't mean like being alone, like you got to get out like one-on-one all the time with everyone, but if you can kind of insert yourself in a group at a networking event, I think that will really help overall. And again, sometimes the buddy system is good, but for sure, get out and meet some people on your own. And of course, the last one is make it fun. I think that's really a big part of our business. Yes, our business is fairly stressful overall, but please make it fun. Make it an absolute blast when you go out. So something that I've read and something that I kind of do too is if I'm at a networking event, I'm going to play a little game with myself, and that game is I'm going to not eat anything. I'm not going to get any food until I've met two people and gotten their cards and have two meaningful conversations. And maybe after I've met four people, then it's time to have a drink. Maybe you're someone who needs a drink before you meet the two or the four. I understand, but just kind of playing a game with yourself a little bit while you're there, I think will make it a lot more fun. By the way, after you're done and you have met some great people, go connect with them on Facebook. I would like to let you know that this is the first time in a networking class that I have mentioned something to do on Facebook or something to do on a quote unquote social network. You've got to have in this networking experience, you've got to have that flesh to flesh first, and then you can start to meet with them and start to truly grow that relationship overall. So the other thing too is when you have fun, your nonverbals change. They change. You smile more. People can feel that you're having fun. So go in with a fun attitude, go in with a little game in your mind, and definitely have a lot of fun. So one last thing about some networking events, and I want to share with you a networking event that you're probably going to do this weekend, and it's an open house. Everything that I've kind of talked about today, you can apply in your open houses. There are wall huggers there, right? There are people who just want to hear themselves talk there. There's somebody who wants to stump you there. It is a mini networking event that we get to attend nearly every single weekend. Have you ever thought of an open house like that before? Most of the time we think of open houses as a way for us to get buyer clients or to potentially meet more sellers. But is it truly a networking event? I love people asking, why'd you stop in here? Do you know anything about this house, or do you know anything about the neighborhood, or just being able to ask them just different questions and letting them talk, I think is a very good time. But everything that we've kind of talked about today from a networking standpoint can most definitely be applied during an open house as well. Okay, so continue to moving on. Here's just a little review. So this has been networking definitely in a nutshell. We're about 21 minutes in. So, and 3 points that I really hope that you take away from this session is that the networking possibilities are in front of you every single day. And are you taking advantage of them? Are you present when networking happens? So, and just remember, that doesn't matter if we're running to the store in our sweatpants or if we're at a formal open house or a formal networking event. Be ready to network. And try to bring as many people into your inner circle as you can, not because it will be great for your business, but because you want to choose to make the choice to surround yourself with great people. So, ABN, always be networking. And of course, this is a wonderful, crazy career maybe that you've made the choice to be in. So at least have fun. I'd like to give a special call out to the Hancock Group with Remax Advantage Plus. So I'm friends with Samantha and Jay on Facebook. So, and again, that's the Hancock Group with Remax Advantage Plus here in Minnesota. And Samantha and Jay, I'm friends with them on Facebook, and they have a lot of fun. They're always posting videos that are pranking each other on their team. It just honestly looks like just a fantastic, fun place to be. And then they also really do a good job, I think, on Facebook too, of working their business overall. But that is why have fun is definitely my last tip. It's a cool business. We're in it. Yeah, super stressful, but super duper fun as well. As I mentioned earlier, this slide is available in your handout. So if you open up that Go to Meeting menu on the right-hand side, so if you go and use the menu on the right-hand side for the handouts, you should be able to download that handout. Looks like I've got a couple folks who may not be able to download that one. So anyways, but that should be the handout for you, and you could definitely go and download that. So should be good to go. And last but definitely not least is our camper of the week. So Sharon Bros from Melbourne, Florida is our camper of the week. So a couple things that drew me to Sharon's post was the beautiful Austrian countryside that she took a great photo of. And then also, while she was out hiking, she found a great little Remax office. So congratulations, Sharon. Thank you very much for being our last camper of the week and posting some really great photos of an amazing trip to Austria and to Europe. And again, Sharon is with Remax Elite in Melbourne, Florida. So thank you very much again. Well, the time has come and camp is closed. I want to personally say thank you for every single person who attended. We had nearly 1,000 people attend camp this year. I don't know how many, that's just how many registered for the webinar. I don't know how many people sat around TVs and watched it as a group in their office, but thank you all very much. This was my first camp this year, and I want to say again, it was a very good time to be a part of, and I can't thank you enough for joining us. Something that that camp counselor Andrea did last week was to post where everyone's from. I'm just curious if you guys wouldn't mind doing that. I think it was pretty cool. Also, if you want, so post where you're from and something that you took away from camp this year. It doesn't have to be from my session, but something that you took away from camp this year. And if you wouldn't mind, just go ahead. You can put it in the question box, and I'd like to read a couple of them. And that's how we're going to end camp this year. So I'll give you a second to just to go in and maybe put some things there. So, and I'd definitely like to read. So I'm curious, what did you learn this year? So thank you for the folks from Ottawa, Canada. So, and Hampton, New Hampshire. So they have a viewing party there. But what's something that you really took away from camp this year that you're going to implement in your business? So come on. I know you all are listening, and I know you got something. I'm just kind of curious. You're typing feverishly. I can feel it. All right. It always takes a second for people to type in something too. So I think that people are typing stuff. It's just going to be a second before they come in here. Okay, so some new apps. Definitely people like that. So I like this one says, I like the approaching the wall hugger idea. So thank you for that. So some apps, people definitely like the technology side of things. And a lot of people from Ontario, Connecticut, so Daytona Beach, Florida. So Candy loved the database discussion overall. So man, the database foundation for everything, right on. So this was great, and I'm sad that we're at the end. Me too, Elizabeth. I'm sad that we're at the end as well. So this one said, a love reminder to get involved with something I enjoy and the business that will come and have fun from it. So this one said that they loved all of the 8 sessions. So Andrea, it's great to see you on board from Robbinsdale, Minnesota. I hope to see you at the fair maybe. Also enjoyed all of the sessions. So, and love to always be networking. Fantastic. So definitely. And just one more, that real estate dog park event, community involvement. Great. That's right. So again, thank you all for camp. I sure do appreciate it. It was an amazing time to be in camp this year. And be well out there, Remaxers. Be well and good luck. Adios.